Don Lemon went on Piers Morgan's show, and I thought I did watch it live, so I thought, well, these guys they both work together. There's some type of friendship or respect between the two of them, and I have to give it to Piers Morgan. I think he did an incredible job. He was very respectful to Don Lemon. But what I got from this, and I say this a lot, I just thought Don Lemon is not okay. I think he's going through something, which is strange for a guy his age. He's probably close to 50, if not over 50. Uh, Looks young for his age, I'll give him that. But I think he's going through something mentally. He's not okay. And I don't want to go there, but sometimes your lifestyles and your habits can put a bit of pressure on you, especially if you're living a certain way. And I don't want to get so deep into it. If you know, you know. But I think certain lifestyles present its challenges for certain humans. And a lot of the times, the people that live a certain life that is not in accordance to how God wants us to live, and this is my personal belief, I think things usually get very difficult for them, especially in their mental state. And we're starting to see a lot of that because he's getting them on camera and he's putting it out there. But he agreed to go on Pierce's show, and I'll commend him for that. But Pierce Morgan is not conservative. I mean, he says he's not. I think he's more of a. I would put him center right, but he says he is. He's a leftistish. I don't think he is. Um, he may have been at certain points in his life, or maybe on social issues, but and except for guns because he's from England, so he has a different perspective on guns. So I'll give him that. But for the most part, he has a lot of views that align with today's conservatives, and that puts him in a position to get opinion views. And of course, I don't like that he interrupts people a lot, but that has worked for him. What do I know? He's got 4 million subscribers. I should not be discussing his tactics when it comes to how he conducts his show. But nevertheless, it's a very beautiful show, and we're about to watch the epic crash out of Don Lemon.
If you had a do-over, would you say that again? I mean, what led you to say that?
Okay, Piers, let me just say this. I'm going to answer your question, but just so the audience knows, and I hope you don't cut this out, when I asked you what subjects you wanted to talk about, you know what you said to me? You said, I want to talk to you about freedom of speech in America and the response to Charlie Kirk's death.
Yeah.
Not once did you mention that we were going to talk about CNN or whatever. So, and had I known that, I probably wouldn't have accepted this interview. This have you have invited me on many times, and I tell you, Piers, I know you.
Why do they always struggle to talk to people? Like they want you to tell them before the show that you're going to talk about something. I like when people just openly discuss issues. You know, if you stand on the side of truth, you should be able to discuss issues openly. You don't need a cheat sheet before you appear for an interview. You're not being authentic and you're overly prepared. I like when you're not prepared. I like people to speak with honesty. That is why I don't use a teleprompter. I let it rip. You want to be able to express yourself in the moment, and that is what brings out the genuinity and the your real viewpoint, who you are. But liberals, for some reason, always want to be prepared. Kamala Harris wants that teleprompter. Joe Biden, the same. Like they always want to prepare, which is why they appear very unauthentic. I'm not saying every liberal view is horrible and bad. I mean, for the most part, yes, they are. But their unauthenticity also adds a lot of weight to why a lot of people are starting to move away from the left.
But come on your show, but I don't do panels. And so when you said I'm not going to be involved in a panel, I agreed to come on your show, but I thought you would also stick by the subjects that you told me that you were going to talk about.
Just to be clear,
rather than try to ambush me with something.
Just to be clear.
So
You and I
Yes.
haven't. Well, John, just to be clear, you and I haven't had any conversation about your appearance here. You're talking about my team talking to you.
Yeah, no, and I saw you, Piers, in a restaurant, and I said, "Hey, Piers, good to see you. I
Yeah.
would come on your show, but I don't do panels."
Right,
And
you're
I
not
said
on
the
a
same
panel.
thing to your bookers.
There's only one
And
of
so
you,
when
Don.
I asked you, and right, okay, and so yes, and I said that's why I agreed to do it. But when you asked me, or when your team asked me what subjects, and I asked them 2 or 3 times, I have the text messages, what do you want to cover?
Yeah.
Not once was CNN mentioned. So I don't appreciate being ambushed. But let me answer your question.
Ambush.
Since
Hang
you,
on, hang
since
on
we're
one
here.
second. No, Don,
Okay.
Don, hang on one second. Let's just be crystal clear about what's just happened. You brought up the subject of cancel culture. I asked you, did you feel your departure from CNN was an example of that? And you answered the question. And I think it's perfectly reasonable.
And I answered the question.
Perfectly reasonable in that if you'd said to me, I don't want to
Piers, I
talk
don't
about
think
it, fine.
it's-
No, but no, so
Piers,
sorry. You said what you're going to say. By the way,
completely
we don't,
disingenuous.
Don,
I don't want to
we
Piers,
don't edit.
I don't like arguing like this. I'm not going to get into an argument with you, Piers. I think that's completely disingenuous, and I think anyone watching that.
What are you
will know
talking
that.
about?
And so, if you will allow me, please.
What
please
are you
stop
talking
interrupting me,
about?
okay, Did you invite me here to interrupt me, or are you going to let me?
I think you're
answer the
being a
question?
complete dick, if I'm honest with you.
Okay.
I do.
Well, that's very kind and respectful of you.
It wasn't intended to be
don't
kind
like
or
the
respectful.
hominem attacks. I could respond in kind.
Guys, you're experiencing in real time the differences between an alpha male and the beta. Okay, this is what it is, and the guy you see on the other side, on the beta side of this equation, and it's not because of his sexuality. It's a result of the dominance that liberals have had in universities and colleges, that the indoctrination that goes on in these institutions have created people that think like this and act like this, walk a different way, and even have certain preferences when it comes to life and partnerships and relationships. It all comes from somewhere.
You can say what you like about me. I don't
think
care.
that I think that I'm above that. I'm not going to do that, Piers. That's not who I am.
I don't understand why you're playing the
attack.
victim card when you yourself mentioned cancel culture.
Because Piers, oh my gosh. Okay, hold on. Let me just say, let me do this.
What are you going to
Here
do?
we
Read
go.
out my
If you
team's
want me to do
messages
this,
to you?
Piers, it should be embarrassing. Yeah, I can read out the team messages to you because I
What
just
are
think
you
it's
prepared to
completely
talk about,
unfair,
then, Don?
and you know that. I'm prepared to answer your question, and then I'm going to move on. I told you I'm prepared to talk about Charlie Kirk's death, the response to it, and cancel culture, and and freedom of the press,
So
and freedom of speech.
You
I'm
were prepared to talk
that.
about
But
cancel
let me just
culture,
answer,
or you weren't?
unless you. No, I'm not prepared.
You're not prepared to
I
talk
can
about
talk about cancel culture, but that has. Oh my God, Piers, could you stop interrupting me?
Not really. You're kind of exhausting me. It's ridiculous. Why would you react this way to a perfectly normal? Obviously, if you mention cancel culture, obviously it's rational and logical that I would ask you whether you felt what happened to you at CNN was that. I play the clip and then you throw a hissy fit.
I've given you a moment. Enough. I've given you your moment.
I don't want a
moment. It's going to go viral. So please,
I don't want a moment.
Yes, you do. Otherwise, you wouldn't do this. Otherwise, you would be a respectful journalist and host. And
I don't think I'll take lectures on being a respectful journalist
because you want a moment. Oh my gosh, Piers.
I won't.
I can't even hear because there's a delay and you keep talking. And what do you want me to do? Like rip the earpiece out in the mic and run off so you have
Oh, I think he was about to do that, but he knew the cameras are rolling. It might not look good because even beta males always don't want, I would say, an admission to everybody else that they are betas. And this is exactly why he had to sit down and take it. But I don't even know why he was making a big deal out of this. Like the Piers Morgan, that was not one of the toughest questions that Piers Morgan has ever asked. This was very simple. Like, do you think that counseling of Jimmy Kimmel is like your situation with CNN? Just say yes or no. No, maybe mine was different and move on from that. But he's not been okay since he left CNN. Something is going on with this guy.
Oh, I don't care.
Are you
do
going to let me
whatever
answer
you
the
like.
question? Are you just going to keep pillaring me with questions?
I don't know why you've gone on this
and
weird
cutting me off
rant.
before
I don't understand any of it. Why have you done this weird reaction? I simply asked you about whether you felt your departure from CNN was, in your eyes, an example of cancel culture. I played the clip,
Piers,
and I then said, when you watch it back, do you really understand what you were saying?
This is why I don't do this, but you're embarrassing yourself, Piers.
Actually, you might be embarrassing yourself, Dom.
Oh my God. Okay.
Man, he was just giving it to him. Like, yeah, I think Piers Morgan is really good at this. He knows that the guy was on the defensive, and he kept pushing and he kept pushing. But Don Lemon didn't want to leave. He knew if he left, it would have been very bad. There's certain moments in media that you're never gonna recover from if you make it happen. And he's a skilled media guy. I mean, he was at CNN for many years, so he knew walking off the set was not gonna look good. But liberals overall have this problem. They don't like the exchange of ideas. They want the dominance of ideas from their end to the other end. And if you're not willing to accept that, they are willing to use any violence or they're willing to use anything, even if it means violence, in order to get their points across. And this is now has contributed to where we are at the moment. This is why we've lost Charlie, and this is why everybody else is on guard only for speaking. And I'm glad that this is out there. And let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I got a few more videos coming up, and thank you for watching. Like and subscribe and share the video.